All right, writing lesson 6 is perhaps the most important. I want to talk about deep analysis. Your analysis, despite whether or not you listen to all of these other tips, your analysis in your writing is what's going to set you apart. It's what's going to distinguish you as a very intelligent, scholarly, insightful person. And so it's very important to spend some time and thought deeply analyzing the significance of a text. So if you ever see my comments on your paper and it says shallow, that just means that you have read the text, you understand it. If it's a fictional piece, you understand the plot, you understand the gist of the text, but you're really stating the obvious, which sometimes can be challenging. Sometimes it's hard to work your way and understand the basics of a text. But when you go deeper in your analysis, you are showing that you have reflected on what you've read and that you can make sense of it in today's world and apply it to certain issues going on. And that requires kind of an additional skill, I guess. You have to be aware of humanity, you have to be aware of culture, of current issues, and you have to take whatever you've read and make sure that you can connect it in that sense. I'm going to use Oedipus Rex as my example for this. I would recommend that you watch on YouTube John Green's Crash Course. I think it's for literature, but it's the one about Oedipus Rex. If you just do a YouTube search of John Green Oedipus, I'm sure it'll pop right up. But I typically show this in my English 2 courses when I want to illustrate great analysis. But John Green asked this question: what effect do all of these elements in Oedipus, tragic flaw, fate, irony, and theme, what do these have on the audience or the reader? And so this is what he says initially in his commentary. First of all, he provides context, a very brief overview of what the play's about, just in case anyone doesn't know. He gives just enough information to where we have an idea. He gives a little bit of summary, just enough to where we can kind of pinpoint what he's talking about, which part of the play he's talking about. And then the majority of the clip, the video, is his analysis. And so what does that analysis consist of? Well, he uses quotes from the play, obviously, which would kind of get into context and summary, but he sets the stage for analysis by providing examples. He provides quotes from critics. So he's doing his research outside of the play. How was the play received in ancient Greek society at the time? How has it been received since throughout history? He does his research even more when he quotes theories from philosophers and psychologists. He refers to Aristotle, he refers to Sigmund Freud, and he also spends some time researching and talking about Sophocles, who is the author of Oedipus. He spends a lot of time and thought analyzing, why does the author do this? What was going on in Sophocles' mind when he wanted to create this character in Oedipus, and what did Sophocles hope to say about Greek society? How does Sophocles craft the story? Why does he craft the story in the way that he does? And also, he talks a lot about ancient Greek society and culture. And so, this very rich view and understanding of the world then and now has really helped us make sense of this play and see why it's such a vital piece in world literature. If you haven't seen it, I mean, it might be worth your while to just watch it on YouTube because it's just a wonderful example of effective literary analysis. Now, while AP is not literary analysis, it's still analysis nonetheless, and so hopefully you'll find some benefit through watching these examples. These are actually student essays that my English 2 students wrote, and let's just talk about them. Talk about whether they are summary or whether they're deep analysis. So here we have kind of a thesis. At the end of the play of Oedipus, the protagonist realizes the prophecy is true and actually blinds himself with Jocasta's brooch. That right there is summary, which you do need. Then it says he declares agony, I am agony, and so there's your textual evidence. And so it's set up beautifully for analysis. And then all I'm left with is this. He realizes he was blind all along, but now he is able to finally see the truth. That is taking it a step further in understanding the plot, but not much. That is shallow, very, very shallow analysis. You've understood the plot up to this point. Oedipus is finally able to realize the truth. That's still kind of borderline summary. That's not very deep analysis. Here's an example of what I'm looking for when I say deep analysis. So we have this paragraph begin in the exact same way as the previous paragraph, but then let's take a look at the analysis. It says he realizes he was metaphorically blind all along, but now he is able to finally see the truth. Now that sounds better because you use the word metaphorically, but at this point it's still basically summary. Then the student goes on to say, this realization is important because it leads to the overall theme of the play, that people cannot change their fate. Readers pity him and fear for Oedipus's downfall, ultimately learning through his experience that stubbornness and arrogance create closed-mindedness. These undesirable traits only lead to destruction. It is only through acceptance of fate, relinquishing power and arrogance, one is able to truly gain perspective, or in Oedipus's case, truth of identity and resolution. And so we can see here that this person not only understands the play and understands it very well, it's very evident that this student has spent some time in thought with the characterization of Oedipus, why Sophocles made Oedipus this way, and more importantly, what we can get out of this play that was written so long ago and make it relevant to today. We can experience stubbornness and arrogance, closed-mindedness. We can see, within ourselves, our relationships, our political spectrum, how this may lead to destruction. And so this is taking what's happening in a play and applying it to our lives. And that's deep analysis. A lot of teachers teach this concept of say, mean, matter. This is one of those educational concepts that's very familiar to me, but whether you've heard say, mean, matter before, I'm sure you've experienced it. Especially with English teachers, they'll say, okay, what does the text say? All right, now what does that mean for the story? And then the most important question is, why does all of that matter? Because why read anything if you're not going to get anything out of it? It's pointless to read anything if it doesn't matter in the end. And so a lot of times it's challenging to find out why it matters. Sometimes we spend so much time thinking, well, what does the teacher think? Why does the teacher think it matters? I got to say what the teacher thinks, rather than actually stepping back and saying, no, really, why does this matter actually? But that's your job when you're doing any sort of analysis, whether it's literary or rhetorical. The deep analysis does focus on the audience, whether that's the play, the people in ancient Greek, or for an AP rhetorical analysis, the specific audience that this person is speaking to. And so when you think about the effect that is created on the audience rather than the characters in the plot, you will then start to have deeper analysis. And so just a few more examples if you need it. I mean, if you feel like you got it, you can stop the video now. But let's just take a look at these. I'm not going to read these to you. Pause it if you need to. But see if you would consider this paragraph to be of shallow analysis or deep analysis. All right, so, I mean, you can kind of skip ahead to the end. The student says, both of these quotes show his arrogance and how he thinks he's the wisest and knows everything. I hope you realize at this point in the video that that is still summary. That's saying, I read it, I got it, I understand it. Good job, because sometimes ancient Greek literature can be hard to decipher, but I understand what I read. That relates nothing to our society. It doesn't say why that even matters, that Oedipus's arrogance. Why does it matter that he's the wisest and knows everything? That's not deep analysis. So look here, you can kind of see the formulaic structure here with raps, but if I'm looking for the analysis, I see quotes, and then it says, this shows that Oedipus cares for them like a father. That's not analysis either. That's summary. That's your interpretation of the text, but it's not deep analysis. And I think I have one more. So here it says the detail of his fame depicts his authority, and he creates dramatic effect by stating his own mighty name at the end. This is better. This is moving closer to the deep analysis. It's still borderline summary and shallow analysis, though. So I challenge you to really consider the effect text create, not for the sake of saying what the teacher wants you to say, but actually just consider, I mean, people write for a living. People write all the time because they feel compelled to. So spend some time in thought. Just open your mind, listen to them, and see, well, why did they write it, and what real effect does it create? Is it causing change? Is it boring me to tears because it's an assignment? Hopefully that's not the answer. But just really consider, the effect a text creates. And I believe that's it. Hope that was helpful. I'm always here for you if you need me.